Now, I hope you're all in bed. And I think as it is 9:15, I think really, oh, I almost lost you. As it is 9:15, I think I can have a glass of Madeira. To your health. Now we must go far, far back in time to the island of the kings before the English got there. There was a weaver by the name of Paddy O'Dwyer, who was married to Mary, and they had lots of little children, and they worked very, very hard, and they tried just about to keep their family fed. Now, he was stubborn, and he might have been a little bit touched in the head. So one morning, while he was weaving, his wife said, come, Paddy, come and have some of the stirabout before it gets cold. Now, stirabout is a sort of porridge. Come and eat it. Paddy O'Dwyer was hungry, but he didn't like to do what his wife told him. He said, no, I'm going to carry on a bit. No, you must eat it before it gets cold. And before you knew it, they had a big argument. And of course, once he was in the argument, Paddy O'Dwyer, however hungry he was, had to win, even if it involved cutting his nose off to spite his face. So that by the time he got to the stirabout, not only was it stone cold, it was black with flies. Well, he took up his fist and thumped it down. And he saw that he had killed 70 flies with one blow. Now, I know what you're going to ask, because it's what I asked the lady when she told me the story. How many is 70? I asked her, well, is it the same amount as all my fingers? And she said it was more than that. And I said, is it the same amount as all my fingers and my toes? And she said, well, it was more than that. And I said, is it the same amount as all my fingers and all my toes and my nose and my ears and my lips and my nipples and my elbows and my what do you call them, my buttocks and my dingle dangle and my dungle dungle and my knees? And she said, more than that. And I said, it is as many as hairs I have on the head. And she said, less than that. So it is a number in between those numbers. But Paddy O'Dwyer, he was all right, pleased with himself, but it kind of went to his head. He fumbled around saying, I killed 70 at one blow. This is the greatest fist in all of Ireland. I am the greatest warrior in all of Ireland. Then he got it into his head that he was wasted in that village. And he said, I am like St. George. I am one of the Christian knights that will defend this country. And he got right odd in the head, and he started making himself a suit of armor. And he said he would go out and fight and go on a quest and see if there were any damsels in distress. And his wife Mary said, what do you think you are, Paddy O'Dwyer? I am a knight errant. A knight errant. Well, he made himself best he could, his suit of armor out of pots and pans and this and that. And his wife said, you're a real fool, Paddy O'Dwyer. I'm not a fool. This fist is the mightiest fist in all Ireland. And then he got a cupboard door and he turned it into a shield and he painted on the door, this is a knight who killed 70 at one blow. And then he said, this village is too small for me. I am off. I am going to go off and fight for the king. I will be the greatest knight and the most powerful man and the saviour of all Ireland. His wife said, you are a fool, Paddy O'Dwyer. Who's going to feed the children? Providence, God will feed the children. You are a fool. That's enough, Mary. I am going. And he went and he jumped on the miller's horse, and the miller saw him on the horse and came running and told him to get off his horse, and he kicked and thunked the horse, and the horse, who hadn't been ridden for a long while, bolted off. Now, I'll say this about Paddy O'Dwyer. He might not have been the finest knight in all Ireland, but he was quite probably the finest horseman in all Ireland. As a child, he'd ridden races for anybody, and he was been famous for his riding. So off bolted the horse and him on it. And eventually, he came to the castle of the king. And there he rode up and down, looking awfully grand, nose in the air with his shield. And it happened that the king and his court came past, and the king saw him, and he beckoned to him and said, who are you? I am Paddy O'Dwyer, the greatest knight in all Ireland, and I'm here to serve you, my king. Will you send me on a quest? Ah, said the king. Well, that's where we're looking for a knight at the moment. Do you know how to kill dragons? I can kill... Do you not see what's written on my shield? I can kill 70 dragons any night of the week. This was a good chance, because it just so happened at that time in Connemara there was a big dragon that was eating everyone and burning down the houses and laying waste to the whole county. So the king, and perhaps Paddy O'Dwyer, might have noticed the chuckles. The king said, I will send you to defeat the dragon. What will you need? Paddy O'Dwyer, I need a bit of gold. That's all right. And I'll need a better horse than this. You certainly will need a better horse. Tomorrow morning, be here and we will send you off. In the morning, there was a bit more laughter as they came out, and the king gave him a purse of gold and they put him on a horse. Now, Paddy O'Dwyer had no intention of killing the dragon. He thought this was good. He had some gold and he had a horse, and he'd go home and show Mary what sort of man he was. But they all rode together to the road to Connemara, and then set off with some knights beside him. And then they whipped his horse and it just bolted down the road and he couldn't get it. I think they put a little charm on it so it would only go one way. And he held on to it. I think they thought that once they whipped it and it bolted, it being a big, strong, fast horse, that he'd fall off and they'd have a laugh, but he didn't. So they rode after him. Now, fairly soon he got there and he could see the devastation and the burning cottages. And he didn't really want to be there, so he was trying to steer his horse to go somewhere else, but it didn't want to go anywhere else. And then he saw the dragon, a great big fire-breathing horror coming for him. At this, the other knights disappeared very quickly, and he realized that the horse was going to carry on, so he jumped off his horse. And the dragon, of course, the dragon ate the horse like that, and there was nothing for Paddy to do, but he ran up an oak tree and climbed it to get out of the dragon's way. And once the dragon had finished eating the horse, it started sniffing the air. There's a man here somewhere, said the dragon. And then it saw him in the tree. Come down from that tree, Paddy O'Dwyer, said the dragon. Shan't, I'm not coming down. Come down, I need my pudding. You'll be very nice pudding. I am not your pudding, said Paddy. You are my pudding. You just come down. I'm not coming down. Well, said the dragon, I'm just going to sit here at the bottom of the tree until you come down. I'll digest the horse, and when you come down, you'll make a very nice. I'm not going to be your pudding. You are going to be my pudding. It was a sort of stalemate. But the dragon had had a good meal. And sitting down, it felt a little bit tired. And well, feeling tired, it closed its eyes and it began to snore. Unfortunately, Paddy O'Dwyer was not as good at climbing trees as he was at riding horses. So seeing the sleeping dragon, he inched out over a long bough of the tree, thinking to drop off once he'd passed the dragon and got closer to the ground and then run away. But he fell off, and he fell off at the worst possible point, landing on the back of the dragon and waking the dragon, and there was nothing for it but for him to clamber up on the neck and take hold of the two ears. Ha ha, said the dragon, pudding! And it shook. But as I say, Paddy O'Dwyer was probably the finest horseman in all Ireland. And that dragon couldn't get him off. Now, the dragon had never had anyone on his back, and the dragon really did not like it. And then he shook him, and then he took off into the air and flew as fast as he could without thinking. And everyone saw the dragon coming towards the king's castle, and they were horrified and scared. But the dragon wasn't thinking, and the dragon flew bang and hit its head against the castle and fell down. And the king came out, and Paddy O'Dwyer said, I brought you the dragon, now chop off its head. I brought it for you to kill, your majesty. And the king didn't necessarily want to approach. Then the dragon started to move. Now chop off its head, said Paddy O'Dwyer. So the king came rushing and chopped the dragon's head off. And he was very pleased with Paddy O'Dwyer, and he made him a knight there and then. And he gave him a little farm just outside the castle. And Paddy O'Dwyer brought his wife and children there, and he did go to court a few times, but he felt that everyone was laughing at him, so he just retreated to his farm and lived the good life and lived happily ever after.